Hey guys, it's Doc, and today we're going to talk about pre-emergents, fall pre-emergents mainly. We're going to talk about all kinds of information about them, so hold on one sec. Hey guys, we're going to break this video into three sort of parts. The first part is going to be fall pre-emergents, how pre-emergents work, how long they last, what's the best one to use. We'll talk about all that information. Then I want to talk about real quick, since this really is the time for fall fertilizers, we'll talk about fall fertilizer real quick. And then we're going to talk about some back end issues that I want to talk about real quick. We have our giveaways, we have the email alerts and that kind of stuff. And I wanted to talk about that. So there's going to be three little parts of this video. Make sure you understand that one thing that I do is every time I make a video, I put a link in the description, and that takes you over to our website. So if you see I'm using a spreader, or if I'm using a certain product, or if you want a soil temperature map, I'll put those links in the description below. So there's a link in the description below that'll take you over to the web page, and I try and list everything there. And sometimes if someone puts up like a YouTube comment and says, I didn't find the link for this, I'll go back and I can re-edit that web page and put it back up for you guys, just so you know how that works. So first, let's talk about pre-emergents. Let's understand how they work. A lot of people think that they stop seeds from germinating, and they don't stop seeds from germinating. They stop new cell generation. So it stops new cells from being produced, basically. That's sort of the Forrest Gump way to look at it. So wherever that pre-emergent is, whatever it comes in contact with on the plant, that is what's going to be limited on new cell production. If this plant is growing in the ground, it has the ground soil level is here, it has roots down below, and it has plants up above. Same thing like grass. Well, where is the pre-emergent? The pre-emergent is in the soil, so the roots are not going to grow because it can't generate new cells, is how you want to think about that. So when a seed will actually germinate when it's in contact with pre-emergent, but what happens is there's just no new cell growth. So I've even seen sometimes where I have if I put out like a Bermuda seed, I'll have a Bermuda seed germinate and see the little tiny sprigs come up, and then all of a sudden a week later they're gone. And that's because the plant can't survive without root growth. And that's how it actually affects. Now there are some pre-emergents I'll talk about real quick that have post-emergent killing effect. One being something like a dimension. So a dimension is a spray that we use, and it actually has post-emergent, so it can actually kill young crabgrass as well as stop the actual growth of it as well. We'll talk about that here in a sec. So let's talk about the next important thing. I want you to think about the year cycle as a circle. So we're thinking about it as a circle. Majority of pre-emergents will last somewhere in that 2-month to 3-month cycle. So there's a wedge. So if you have a wedge in that circle, the important part to understand is where do you want to insert that wedge into your year-long cycle to have the pre-emergence work the best? Well, what you want to do is you want to rely on the fact of whatever weed you're targeting, what is the basic germination date for that? So as an example, in the spring, we really want to concentrate on spring germination, so like crabgrass and stuff like that. So the soil temperature is probably like 51 degrees, that's a target. Personally, spring is different. I do 2 treatments. I do an early one, and then I do a late one using the 2 products. And that carries us through 2 or 3 months, and by that time our grass is nice and thick and we don't have to worry about it. Now I've done 1 pre-emergent treatment on my lawn in the spring, and I have no weeds, 0 weeds, because my lawn is really thick and healthy. In the fall is a little bit different, and here's what I want you to remember. What's going to happen to our Bermuda grass in a few months? The cold weather is going to move in, and it's going to get dormant, going to die off. Well, what else dies off when we start to get that cold weather in winter? There's a lot of weeds like crabgrass that actually die off. So is it worth it trying to put down pre-emergent for crabgrass right now? Not really, unless you have a bad breakout of crabgrass. So as an example, today, the only time I'm going to be doing this, the right soil temperature, by the way, for this time of year to apply your pre-emergent for your winter weeds is 70 degrees. Now that's your soil temperature. In the description below, there's going to be a link, and you can go to soil temperature map. You click on it, you pop in your zip code, and it'll tell you what your soil temperature is. Today, mine is 86 degrees. So if 70 degrees is my target temperature, there's no reason for me to be putting out pre-emergent for my winter weeds that are going to be coming up. But I have one area over here, if you've watched my videos, you understand what I'm talking about. I have that field that was heavily infested with crabgrass. Well, I've gone over there and sprayed it for crabgrass. It's not a bad idea since there was so much crabgrass over there. I'm going to go put down pre-emergent on top of that one area only. The rest of the lawns that I have, I just am not seeing weeds, and so I'm not going to put out anything, and I'm going to hold off until I get down to that soil temperature of about 70 degrees. But you need to understand that pre-emergent kind of goes out of stock. So I recommend that people, which I just got my shipment in, I got my fall shipment of pre-emergent in yesterday. I had 2 Amazon trucks pull up, and my garage is full of it. So I've got my lawn, the world's worst, Miracle Patch, Barb's lawn, the front entrance. I've got all those that I need to put down fall pre-emergent on. So remember, that wedge that goes in that circle needs to be at that germination point. So if 70 degrees is my germination point, that's where I want it to start, and I want to carry for the next 2 or 3 months. All right, so let's talk about what we're using. There'll be a link in the description below. This is what I use. This is the Anderson's pre-emergent. Comes in the 18-pound bags. It's real convenient for me. I love it in the smaller bags, but you can also go on there. I'll put a link to the larger bags. I like it because I can go out and treat an area that needs it, open up 5,000 square feet, treat it, and then be done with it. Now, the other pre-emergent that I like to do on top of this, now granulars typically, a lot of people say liquids are better than granulars. I kind of disagree. I think they both work hand in hand. Granulars will immediately get down into the thatch layer, and this stuff, because it's a DG, dispersible granule, it almost explodes once water hits it. And then I typically will come back in another 3 or 4 weeks and come back with a liquid, like the Dimension. I'll put a link to this. And then I'll spray out my Dimension. So I always do that double treatment. I do the granular, which lasts longer, and then I do the liquid. So I always do that sort of split double. And it has worked phenomenal for years for me. I don't have any weed problems. I can't stress that enough. So let's talk about this product here, the Anderson's pre-emergent, which is basically a barricade product. I've got a little sample of it here. I don't know if you can see it, but it's tiny little pellets. See those? They're tiny little pellets. But it's a dispersible granule, which means that each one of these pellets, once water hits it after about 60 seconds, is basically going to explode and release hundreds, if not thousands, of subparticles into that area. So it immediately, because it's so small, it works right into the thatch layer, doesn't move from rain or from mowing. And then once the water hits it, it disperses and stays up in that upper layer, which is where you want it. So I'm going to add some water to this. And I'm going to have you watch this with me. So I'm just going to add water to this, and I'm just going to leave it alone. But almost immediately you can start to see some of the pellets kind of the water will turn yellow, as you can see. That product starts to instantly release and it almost starts to bubble, and I'm going to gently set it down here, and we'll look at it in about a minute. It's just a real cool product. The DG, which is a patented technology for them, it's used in, we use it in the Humic DG, we use it in the PGF Complete, we use it in all kinds of formulas. It's really good stuff. Okay, so while we're sitting here waiting on these particles to sort of work, understand this is why when you have new sod, you really don't want to put down any pre-emergence for the first year, because pre-emergence will sit in that first 1 inch to 2 inches of soil, or work down into that sod, and it'll slow down or stop the root growth of new sod. Now, understand that Bermuda grass roots on established lawns like mine will have roots that are anywhere from 8 inches to 60 inches deep. And yes, I said 60 inches. Bermuda grass roots can go extremely deep, very, very deep. So I don't have to worry about that. That's not an issue. But new sod, when you first lay it down, you want to get those roots to start growing. You don't want to put a pre-emergent till those roots are probably a good 4-6 inches into the ground. That's when you can start using your pre-emergents. You kind of just have to battle weeds the first year and sort of accept it. Okay, so I'm going to put the lid back on this so I don't get covered. Now this has just been sitting here the whole time we've been talking, and you can see what happens. See the mixture here? It just, those particles start to break down almost immediately, and it turns into, and they sort of release all that stuff in there. So now I'm almost particle free. It almost has become sort of a thick paste, and that's what happens with this stuff. It's pretty cool. So you don't have to worry about long-term movement when you're mowing. As soon as you put this stuff down, I personally like to put it down when there's a little bit of a dew, and then immediately go back and water it. That dew gets them wet, water it, and it's right into that soil. But you can see that I'm pretty much just at a solid paste here. Get that sunshine to hit it maybe a little bit. It's just a solid paste. There's no more particles. They're gone. They've dispersed, and they've dispersed into the soil, and that's why this stuff has worked so well as a granular pre-emergent. The majority of granular pre-emergents are not as effective as this DG formula. Link in the description below. Okay, so let's talk about fall fertilizers real quick. If you followed my last video, I did something you're not supposed to do, and that's going into the fall doing a true scalp. Hard cut is fine, doing hard cuts, but when you do a true scalp, you run the risk of it struggling to come back. So I did a scalp, and let me show you the scalp and what it looked like on the scalp. And then I'll go ahead, and what I'll do next is I'm gonna put up what it looks like today. Now keep in mind, I've cut my lawn 3 times since then. I'm doing a diagonal pattern with my reel mower, but I want to show you what it looks like today. And maybe what I'll do is I'll come out, I think I'm gonna cut this today. But remember all that scarring that was over here? Again, all I did was put down PGF Complete and water it, and that's it. Almost all that scarring is gone over here, and it's all growing in. And that was in the last video. We talked about scarring and scalping, but you need to keep cutting, keep cutting, keep cutting, and let the scars catch up. Now look at this. That's what I look like. Now this is 10 days? No, this is 11 days. Sorry, I'm counting on my fingers. This is 12 days. This is 12 days after the scalp. I've cut this 3 times. 1 diagonal, 2 diagonal, next diagonal. I'm going to cut it again today. And that's what I look like. So let's put up the before. And then let's put up today. It's an amazing difference. And again, this is the time on fall fertilizers we want to be putting out a 4:1:2 ratio. That's all you want to be putting out, a 4:1:2 ratio if you haven't had a soil test done. And the PGF Complete is the perfect fertilizer for fall, for fescues, for Bermudas, it doesn't matter. Now let me show you over here. The sun is beaming down on these areas. So this is the miracle patch over here that is gorgeous. Again, that has had 4 treatments of PGF Complete, was all weeds. This is that crabgrass area that I'm now working on. I did 1 treatment for crabgrass killer. I did another light treatment crabgrass killer, and then of course it stopped raining. We haven't had rain in 3 weeks, so it looks a little yellow, but it is actually doing excellent. I'm going to come out and put pre-emergent down on this area over here, but I'm not going to put it over here because I don't have any crabgrass issues over here. This was infested, so I know there's a ton of crabgrass seed that's going to want to come back. So I am going to go ahead and put pre-emergent down over here today. So here is the miracle patch, and again, this is so thick, I mean, nothing can live in this. This is so thick. This is so thick. Nothing could survive in here. I don't think a weed could actually germinate inside that. That's just insane. So if you don't have one of these spreaders, get one. I'll put a link on that page that I talked about, but man, for the money, I think this is probably the best spreader. It mimics a golf course commercial grade spreader, like I have the Anderson's LCO 1000, which is about a $500 spreader. This one mimics it because it has the large pneumatic tires, and this area over here literally has like gopher holes in it. When I'm going over it, it's like this, and I really would have a hard time putting out stuff if I didn't have something with these big wheels on it. So on this spreader, it actually has an adjustment stop. So you can see that I'm just under 1/4 of an inch on my slot. And then I lock that in, and then I always forget to close this. Close here, and then I'm going to use, I'll probably go ahead and put 2 bags. It's 7,000 to 8,000 square feet, but I want to put it down pretty heavy, so I'm going to put down 2 bags on it. Again, one thing that's nice about these smaller bags is One bag treats 5,000 square feet, so you can just sort of split the bag in half and figure out how much you want to do. I just love these smaller bags. All right, so a little bit of change of plans here. Let me see if I can somehow show you this. Over here is the Miracle Patch, and it's really, really thick and solid green, no weeds. And then over here is that area that we just started working on a few months ago that is just infested with crabgrass. But here's what I'm seeing. There's sort of a little bit of a crossover, and then over here I actually saw about 3 or 4 little sprigs of crabgrass over here. So what I'm thinking is, that we're getting some crossover in here. So I had a little bit of pre-emergent left, so I am also going to treat this area over here. Again, this is where you can use your judgment. Pre-emergent you can put down anytime. It's not going to hurt anything really. So that area, because there's so much weed seed over there, I'm going to go ahead and treat that area. Hey guys, so that's pretty much done. Now I am going to be putting down some PGF Complete probably next week. Right now we're hot and we're dry, so I'm going to hold off for a couple days. We have some rain moving in next week, and that's the perfect time to put down my PGF Complete, so I will be putting that down. I did want to touch on real quick on some of the back end things. If you're signed up for the email alerts, which is how we do our giveaways, we have a PGF Complete giveaway, we have a lawn spreader giveaway. There's fun stuff. We gave away a $2,000 reel mower. Yes, we chose the winner and gave it away. I forget his name, in Tennessee. He was the winner of it. If you're not getting those emails, make sure you add howtowithdoc@gmail.com into your contacts, and I'll explain that. That's an email that we don't check, by the way. It's just used for the system, so don't send an email there. But a lot of the old email systems like AOL and Hotmail and Yahoo, their artificial intelligence for understanding filtering is horrible. Gmail is probably one of the few that actually keeps up with that stuff, and Gmail will allow everything to go through and either put it to spam or allow it to your inbox. Servers, the mail servers on old mail systems like Yahoo, they just kick stuff out. They won't even allow it to go to spam folders a lot of time. And that's what we find. We find that when you have like an automated system, the servers just kick it out. They won't even let it go through. So that might be one reason. So add that to your email address, your contacts. But I just want to make sure that everyone understands we have a real important newsletter going out next week. That's going to go out to all those people that are signed up there. We're talking about 2020 products. We're talking about some special promotions. We got the 2020 Bermuda Grass Calendar Preview, which is an automated sort of calendar, which is really cool. So you need to be signed up for the email alerts over there. Again, it's not for marketing. We don't sell the list. It's just an alert system. When this idiot posts a video up, it tells you. So anyways, guys, make sure you've ordered your PGF Complete. The link is below. Order what you need for the fall, for the entire fall. And then within the next week or two, I would say go ahead and start looking at pre-emergents, making sure you already got your pre-emergents in stock. Again, we're leaving the fall system and going into the winter, so a lot of supplies start to drop down. I just want to warn you about that. So make sure you have what you need in stock. And again, I'll put links to it all. That's about it, guys. Like I said, I got about 5 videos on the stepped up in queue here. I got a brand new lawn edger. I'm going to do a video on that. I'm talking to a guy about maybe shooting some stuff for a new reel mower. All kinds of stuff. So I'm going to go inside because it's hot out here. Talk to you later. Bye.